Time to launch your very own personal journey toward a joyful and purpose-filled second half of life. Each week, host Roy Richards, an expert on midlife renewal and author of A Midlife Challenge, Wake Up, will discuss the challenges common to middle age and help guide you to a brighter tomorrow. Now, here's Roy.
So many of us are committed to becoming a better person in the new year. And let's go one step further. Have you really thought about what the term better person means to you? Well, my guest, spiritual and personal growth author and teacher Geoffrey McClung, contends that most of us, especially you women, get it all wrong. She explains women of different generations have had different struggles, but the constant in all of them is that our worth, our value, our sense of being good enough is always seen through the lens of what we do for others and how others see us. And from personal experience, I might add that a lot of us men seek external confirmation of our value as well. So how about you? Do you define your self-worth primarily by what other folks think and say about you? You know, the Bible tells us to love your neighbor, and this is a wonderful sentiment, but never forget the rest of the message, as you love yourself. And you know, when you think about it, without loving yourself fully and respecting your potential for greatness, what do you really have to offer others anyway? And Geoffrey McClung is here today to explain why the simplest and most powerful resolution you can make for the new year is to love yourself. And more importantly, she's here to suggest how you can develop your own sense of self-love and incorporate that self-love into daily living. In fact, Geoffrey has written an inspirational self-help book on the subject. It's titled The Heart of the Matter, a workbook and guide to finding your way back to self-love. And Geoffrey McClung is an inspirational author, teacher, blogger, and self-love advocate. She began her career as a theater actress in New York City and later produced and starred in off-Broadway productions and award-winning short films. And she uprooted her career to return to Texas to help her mother deal with terminal cancer, then shared in a subsequent extended cancer battle of a lifelong friend. And these back-to-back tragedies encouraged Geoffrey to turn inward and find strength and techniques to help her heal emotionally. And now she's sharing these techniques with others. And The Heart of the Matter is Geoffrey's second book, following her acclaimed 2015 offering, How Learning to Say Goodbye Taught Me How to Live. And hello, Geoffrey McClung, and welcome to Middle Age Can Be Your Best Age.
Hello, Roy, and middle age can be our best years.
That's for sure. Well, we're honored to have you with us today. To get the conversation started, please give us your definition of self-love. You know, some might say that self-love implies a narcissistic, self-centered attitude of me first, where you place self-interest, personal desires, and aspirations ahead of everyone else. Is working on reclaiming your self-love somehow selfish?
Absolutely not. Selfishness has nothing. Self-love, the second part of self-love is called love. It has to do with love. Selfishness has to do with grabbing what you can grab, thinking there's not enough to go around, frankly. But no, self-love is about love. All about love.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, the Amazon book promotion tells us that your book, The Heart of the Matter, clearly defines 3 necessary components of self-love. What are these 3 necessary components?
Well, self-love is the knowing in your heart, and it's clear that it has to be in your heart. It cannot just be a mental concept. That's really important. It's one thing to mentally say, I love myself. I've said that most of my life. I love myself. I love myself. But I have these voices inside of myself that do not love myself so much. So it has to be in your heart. It's a knowing in your heart that your core being, the core of who you are, is lovable, loving, and loved. When you know you are lovable, lovable simply means you know you are worthy of love, period. You exist, therefore, Roy, you are worthy of love, period. Every single person on this planet, I don't care who you are, what you've done, what you're going to do, you are worthy of love. To be loving is to acknowledge that your heart has a beneficial, let me say it this way, that your heart is loving. You have a loving heart. You may have built barriers around it. You may have put walls around it. But if you tear those walls down, those barriers down, you have a natural loving heart, which is where you get your sense of being good enough. Because when you express your loving, whether it's through creativity, artistic expressions, through relationships, however you express your loving, it is good enough. And then to be loved is to understand that the fact that you exist, that you have value, and you matter to the universe. Another person may not think you matter. Doesn't matter if your next door neighbor thinks you matter. You matter to the universe because you exist. You matter.
Yeah.
You have those three things.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying now. But can you please identify for us a few of the ways that lack of self-love negatively impacts our lives? I mean, there's got to be hundreds of ways it does. But
it does in 1,000 ways. You'll have one, in one sense, you'll see a bully, and that's obviously a lack of self-love. But then you see a people pleaser. That is the opposite. That is a lack of self-love, too, to try to earn love by doing. So that's one way. But the other thing is what we feel and believe about ourselves is going to color everything we encounter in our daily life, as well as all the actions we're going to take. So it can be through bullying, blaming, people pleasing. It's literally how you can wait for somebody to be coming after you. That's another psychologists have said a long time that people have lack of self-worth or sense of self-loathing or lack of self-love tend to see benign acts as hostile, and therefore see enemies where there are no enemies. I think we're seeing a lot of that these days. People seeing enemies where there are no enemies. My neighbor may think differently, believe different beliefs than I have, but that doesn't mean that we're enemies and they're after me. Good Lord, they're not after me.
You just wonder when you turn on these news channels whether there's any self-love in the world, the way they're constantly attacking. One channel's attacking the right and the other channel's attacking the left, and it's just constant.
I think it's a big clue that I sort of see it. I try to see things from different levels, of course, the basic level. Then I like to see the higher viewpoint, if you will, so to speak. What's the bigger, higher view we're going through? I think we're going through a transition up more self-love. I think that's why there is blaming and bullying. When you have anger or a feeling powerless or fear, you're going to go out and strike against people.
Yeah.
Those symptoms of anger, hurt, feeling powerless are symptoms of lack of self-love, frankly.
Yeah.
Now, we don't think of it that way, but they really are, Roy. They are the lack of love.
That's true, and so few people are willing to admit that. But in your book, you tell us that we all have positive transformational tools available within that can help us connect the three components of self-love. Can you please identify some of these transformational tools and suggest how we can employ them to uncover what we really think and feel about ourselves?
Oh, certainly. So first part, the book's done in 3 parts, and the first part is your tools. And what you can do is you're going to use your imagination, Roy. That is such an imperative tool to use. I always say your imagination sort of how God or the divine can speak to you through your imagination. So we're going to engage our imagination to connect it with meditation. And meditation strictly focusing your attention, Roy. It's not, you don't have to chant, you don't have to light candles, you don't have to sit in a mantra position and do all these strange things. It's just focusing your attention. So you're going to combine your imagination when you're meditating, which I just lay down and close my eyes and I'm meditating. That's meditation. You're going to use your imagination, and we practice it by creating a safe space within ourselves. A safe space we can go within our minds where we are safe. There's living images of love and safety all around us. So that's the first tool you're going to engage is your imagination, because you're going to need it down the line when you work with different parts of yourself that need some healing. You're going to need that imagination.
Yeah.
The second tool you're going to connect with is what we call your higher self. Now, higher self is strictly the part of you, and it's imperative that you understand it is a part of you. It's not something separate of you. It is a part of you that remembers that it is one with the divine and has all the knowledge and power of that love. In other words, it's your wise one. We all have a wise one that lives inside of us.
Yeah, there's a little bit of God in every individual. I know.
Oh, definitely. We all have a piece of the divine within us.
Yeah.
It's reconnecting to that piece of divine so that you can get higher answers to your questions.
Yeah.
So we're going to use your imagination. The second part, you go and we're going to work with your connecting with your higher self. The third tool, then we're going to, once we've done the imagination, we've got our safe space. Within that safe space, we've begun to meet this higher part of ourself that is connected to the divine and realize we have help. They can hold our hand during this whole process of reconnecting. And the third part are your emotions, Roy. Emotions are vital. We have emotions. They are, I call them the navigational system. They're there to remind us what's right for us and what's wrong for us. Unfortunately, most of us are out of whack emotionally. We have all this, what I call past baggage we're, lugging around over our shoulders. So we're getting triggered by everything. When if we'd healed the past, we wouldn't be getting triggered, and our emotions would be navigating for us, telling us, hey, look over here, this is the right way for you to go. They are a navigational system when we're in balance. So then we take our higher self, we go in there, we meet our emotional body, and we look at our emotional body and say, okay, do I have wounds? Do I have sores? Do I have hurts? And of course, most of us do have wounds and sores and hurts somewhere in there that still need some attention to be healed. We have parts that need to be healed. That's all that really matters.
Yeah.
So those are three tools that we're going to use to go and look at self-love, work with the components of self-love, meet our inner orphans, which are basically the parts of ourselves that we either tossed aside because we were either disgusted by them or ashamed of them or hurt by them. And we need to bring them back to a whole and love them back into whole.
Yeah, your book contains extensive exercises for identifying negative emotions, encouraging readers to honor such feelings rather than running away from them. What do you mean by honoring a negative emotion, and why in the world should we want to honor old hurts when in fact we're searching for reasons to love ourselves more?
Oh, I hear you. I mean, you know what? The only way you're going to love yourself more if you let those old hurts actually go. And they don't go by you forgetting them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be old hurts. Yeah. They would have just been tossed off. That's what I said. We all have little pieces of old hurts. And we have to go back and heal those little pieces of ourselves. I call them our inner orphans. They're little pieces we let go of, or we just put to the corner, put in a box and said, I'm not going to deal with you. You caused me pain or you caused me hurt or whatever it is. We go, we heal those. First of all, we learn that we can heal ourselves, that we actually have been given the power to heal ourselves, and our emotions don't have to scare us. That when you have a scary emotion like anger, underneath anger is always hurt, frustration, or fear. Those are the things under anger. So you want to go underneath your emotions and find out what you're really feeling so you can go and offer the opposite to that hurt part and love them back to wholeness. So you don't avoid your hurt feelings, you heal your hurt feelings.
Yeah, well, that makes so much sense. But in your promotional material, you suggest we incorporate 5 simple self-gratitude practices into our lives. What are these practices, and how do they help us love ourselves more?
Well, these are good things to do because you want, in between the homework, because there's homework within the book. The book is a workbook, people. It is a guide. You got to do the homework to get any progress. But in between doing the homework, healing those wounds, loving yourself, expanding your sense of self-love, you want to do some mental games with yourself. You want to, constantly keep your mind focused on the positive aspects so you can start to train your mind to go there versus always going to the negative aspects. So these are simple little things you can do with yourself every day, and I call them self-gratitude practices, because we have to be grateful to ourselves first in order to be grateful to other people.
Yeah.
So I start with celebrate. Number 1 is celebrate who you are. Well, I'm kind, I'm funny, I'm generous. Find the things that you feel you can celebrate about yourself and remind yourself of that every morning or every evening, and celebrate that I'm funny, I'm kind, I'm generous.
Yeah.
Number 2, honor your abilities. I'm great at learning new skills. I'm a great writer. I might be a great swimmer, a great cook. Honor your abilities. We all have abilities. Some could be good gardeners. Some could be good at math. You have abilities. We all have been given abilities. Honor those abilities.
Yeah, honor those abilities, and then seek activities that help both yourselves and others by doing those activities. Don't let them lay dormant, in other words.
Oh, no. If you're going to have your abilities, you've got to do them. I mean, that's the whole point of the workbook, is you're going to do these things. You're not going to just think about them. You're going to have to do them. So you're going to honor your abilities so you can. And the thing is, when you honor your abilities, it's not that you have to do it for other people, because by you honoring your abilities, it just spreads out. Love is contagious. When you love yourself, it hits every area around you. Trust me, it spreads like a wonderful pandemic. So it is. A wonderful pandemic. Number 3 is rejoice in your accomplishments. Most of us are taught, don't be too proud of yourself. Don't celebrate too much, what you just did. Yeah, don't rejoice in your accomplishments too loud. You make other people jealous. Or mine was, you're making people jealous. So I didn't really celebrate accomplishments too much because I didn't want to make other people jealous, and then it might hurt me. That was one of my issues.
But isn't it interesting that the people that loudly celebrate their so-called accomplishments often really didn't accomplish anything?
Oh, honey, the loudest people are usually people who need the most homework. Frankly, it's between you and me. We'll keep that private. They need the most homework. If you're too that, these things you do by yourself. First of all, these type of things you do by yourself to remind yourself, hey, I'm good enough.
Yeah.
I am good enough. Number 4. Compliment yourself often. Man, I really did that job interview good. I gave it everything I had in me. Compliment yourself. Again, these are things you do with yourself, by yourself, people.
Yeah.
But compliment yourself. I really hung in there. I didn't give up. I could have given up during that test or whatever it was, but I didn't give up when I finished it. Compliment yourself. That deserves to be. Treat yourself like your own best friend. That is the best clue. Treat yourself like your own best friend. I did that well. I look great. I was fabulous at work today. I really was on my game today. Compliment yourself.
That's great.
And number 5 is thank yourself. Thanks for hanging in there. Thanks for not letting fear stop me. That's a big one. When you realize I didn't let fear stop me, you need to thank yourself for not stop you. Because fear stops a lot of people. And it doesn't need to. It's just an emotion we have to learn to deal with. And fear, really, when you go underneath fear, is just when you deal with fear, underneath that fear is a fear that you're going to be hurt. Well, once you know you can love yourself, you're less worried that somebody's going to hurt you, so you're willing to take risk and try things that may have been fearful to you to begin with. That makes sense.
It's not going to destroy you if somebody doesn't agree with you or doesn't celebrate what you do, because if you love yourself, you know that you're trying to help others and you're honoring yourself at the same time, and you're not going to worry if 100% of the people agree with you every
No,
time.
I'm not. And you may be surrounded in a group where there's nobody who likes you in this group.
Yeah.
That happens. That's not your fault. There's things to be learned from every situation you can learn something from that situation. But the main thing is, forever, you just said that people are not going to always like what you did or be that excited that, or compliment you personally. Yeah. But again, if you're loving yourself, you don't need them to love you. If they do, that's a cherry on the sundae. But if they don't, that's okay too, because self-love is about loving yourself. And what's interesting, psychologists have said this for a long time, people with higher self-esteem, higher sense of self-worth, which is self-love, actually have more compassion and more empathy for other people.
Yeah, and they understand other people better because they understand themselves. And
exactly.
By understanding yourself, you understand why other people are doing things.
Oh, totally. When you totally understand yourself, when you look at yourself and you realized, okay, I've been compassionate with my stumbles and my mistakes. And believe me, there are plenty of them, Lloyd. I've had plenty of stumbles and mistakes. But I've had compassion for myself. Then I suddenly have more compassion for others' stumbles and mistakes. When I had self-acceptance for my flaws and weaknesses, and there were many of those too, Roy, I was able to accept others' flaws and weaknesses with much less judgment. Exactly how you treat yourself is pretty much how you're going to treat other people. So that's a big clue, big clue. If you're sitting there in judgment of everyone, you've got to realize you're in judgment of everyone because you are judging yourself to pieces.
So true. When I make negative comments about somebody I'm watching on TV, hopefully not someone I'm meeting in person, but I always stop to think, am I really criticizing this person because I'm not happy with myself? And 99% of the time, that is the answer.
It is. You got it completely right. It is 99% of the time. Everything that we're experiencing has to do with the filter through our own lenses.
Yeah.
So if you're not happy with somebody saying, if you're in a great place with yourself, it doesn't really matter what other people are saying or doing. But when you're kind of iffy with yourself, then they bug you. People bug you.
Well, part 3 of your book, The Heart of the Matter, is entitled Investigating, Interrogating, and Integrating. Now, I understand the first 2 commands, but what do you mean by the final step, integrating? What are we seeking to integrate, and what role does integration play in generating self-love?
Well, investigating, you've got it. Your self-awareness, being aware of your beliefs, your emotions, that sort of thing. Interrogating your inner orphans. Why are they so afraid the world hates them, or it's going to hurt them, or they've got to have their fist up in the air because somebody's going to try to hit them? You're going to, investigate them. Yeah. And then the third is integration. Integration is when you're going to practice. Really, it's that's compassionate understanding is how I define the book. It's practicing compassionate understanding with yourself. I did this when I was 8 and made the decision that the world was going to be rough on me in this particular area. Most of our beliefs get set by the time we're 7, 8, or 9. Our beliefs about ourselves and the world kind of are set, meaning that we've just made those decisions. That's how the world's going to treat me, and that's what I got to be prepared for. So once you go and you realize, okay, I made that decision when I was 7 that I was going to have my fist in the air and be ready for somebody to punch me because I'm going to punch them first, but they can't hit me first. When you're aware of that, you can forgive yourself and say, I didn't know better then.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I did the best I could because I was only 7. And I carried that forward till I was in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever.
And you understand that what you may have believed at age 7 isn't really all that relevant to what you are at 55 or 46 or whatever.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what? There's a lot of 55-year-olds walking around there in their 70-year-old bodies. I'm telling you how. I mean it every day. And they may have nice clothes and nice briefcases and nice houses and nice bank accounts, but they are walking around with their 70-year-old hand in hand with them, still waiting to get hit or hurt or something. That's why we learn to practice compassion, understanding with ourselves. I did the best I could in that moment. I practiced it in my 20s. I practiced it now. If something comes up and I feel like I need some more forgiveness for myself, I practice compassion, understanding. And then once you've done that, you look at your behaviors and you realize, oh, I behaved that way because I was hurt.
Yeah.
And I don't have to behave that way anymore.
Yeah.
So your behaviors start to change. Yeah. And then you offer that same compassion, understanding with those who hurt you. And
well,
you can
let's talk a little bit about your 5-star book, The Heart of the Matter. In the from the author comment section of the Amazon preview, you state that, are you warned that you cannot think your way to self-love? Given that, how do we accomplish our journey, and how is your book intended to guide that journey to the self-love destination? I know we've discussed that somewhat already, but...
I think that's a good question, really. What it does, is, like I said, is a workbook and a guide, so you're going to keep it with you. You're going to be able to go back to it and look at your answers. You're going to do the first section, which is the tools. Yeah. You're going to work with that to get your imagination, get your emotional body working, especially for men. No offense, Roy, but men have an issue with some emotional issues. So we're going to get the men to work with their emotions. And this is all done alone. All this work is done alone. You're going to work with your emotional body. You can go to part 2. And each section you go through, you have questions you ask yourself. And you have to be honest with yourself with these questions. There's at least 20 to 40 to 50 questions in each chapter. You have to answer it as honestly as you can. Who told me that self-love means I have to earn it, or I have to deserve it, or only some people are deserving of it, others aren't? You're going to go through your list, and you're going to have to be really honest with yourself so that you understand what you're thinking about, whatever that was in that chapter. The next part in each chapter is going to be a meditation. Again, that's just closing your eyes, Roy. You can be sitting in a chair or laying down. I don't care. Close your eyes, and you're going to do I give a whole description in the meditation of what you want to do in that meditation. I give you images I used for my own meditation. You can either use them or come up with your own, and you're going to go and do meditation. Meditations are for your emotional homework. They're going to get your emotions involved. Then you have some homework that you're going to have for the week to pay attention to whatever we worked on that week. You're going to pay attention to how you behave out in the outer world. So it gives you these steps. And then in the third part, you're going to work with those inner orphans. You're going to work with your safety nets, which are your go-to behaviors when you're in fear or feeling powerless or vulnerable. These are your judgment, criticism, needing to be right is a big go-to behavior.
Yeah.
You're gonna realize those came out of pain. Those are not who I am. People say, "Don't mess with me. Don't push my button." What? That's a button for a reason. It's not who you are. You want to get rid of the button, people. Get rid of that button. So you're gonna work with your behaviors, and then you're gonna practice compassion, understanding. All these are done with questions, meditations, homework. And there's places for notes in the book so that you can literally go through the process and use this for the rest of your life, frankly, because I have not met anyone who cannot continue to grow in their self-love, frankly.
No, anyone that isn't continuing to grow might as well be dead.
Exactly. I'm still, I've done the heavy work of the inner orphan work. There's some stuff you will finish. The inner orphan work, you will finish it. I finished my inner orphan work. I don't have to go back and do that anymore.
Good.
But I continue to grow my sense of worthiness of love, being good enough, and being loved. I can continue to grow those aspects. And that's fun work. That's fun work, to be honest.
Well, where's the best place for listeners to go to preview and purchase your book, The Heart of the Matter? I know I found it on Amazon, but is that the best place?
Well, you can go to Amazon, you can go to Barnes & Noble, you can go to Balboa. You can also go to my website, which is JoffreyMcClung.com, or you can also just type in Joffrey'sBooks.com.
Okay, and that's JoffreyMCCLUNG.
That's my full name, yes. That'll get you there. Or Joffrey'sBooks.com will get you there. Also, it's all about selflove.com will get you there. Those three will get you to my website, which you can read free previews of each book. And then there's clicks there if you want to go to Amazon or Balboa or wherever and purchase the books.
Okay.
And you can read my blog.
That sounds easy enough. Well, it's been almost a month now since you made those New Year's resolutions to improve upon certain aspects of who you are, how you feel, and how you relate to others. But guess what? Joy and satisfaction from accomplishment of any resolution will be fleeting at best if you fail to address the single most powerful and essential resolution of all, and that's to love yourself. And you are a unique, one-of-a-kind creation of God with untapped powers inside beyond imagination. And on her website, Joffrey McClung sums it all up like this. We all come into this world fully equipped for the journey before us. And starting this very moment, why not accept this truth and personalize it as your mantra? At this point in my life, I am fully equipped for a joyful and mutually beneficial journey through the rest of my days in service to self and others. And now call upon your inner being with spiritual help from God, the universe, the divine, whatever you choose to call it, to acknowledge and explore your true beauty and the purpose you were created to serve, the ultimate power of self-love, and banish forever that small little voice inside telling you that you're not good enough, and discover the freedom to be you, and no more masks of deception required. As Joffrey puts it, to dream and create, to feel joy and excitement, to have faith and trust, to live with passion and compassion, and most importantly, to love and be loved. And I got all that from her website. And what a better way to begin the new year than that. And self-love, it sounds so logical and simple, but it's not. And to launch your journey to self-love, undoubtedly the most important journey of your life, I highly recommend you preview and purchase Joffrey McClung's new book, her latest book, The Heart of the Matter. And thanks a million, Joffrey, for joining us here today.
Thank you, Roy.